was hanging from a bridge. The wheels of his carriage skid, wood cracks, stone gives way. And for one suspended second, he knew this. He was about to die. In moments like this, people expect angels, heaven, light. But what came to Blaise Pascal in 1654 was none of that. It was fire, without comfort, without warmth, a blaze so violent it burned itself into memory. Pascal survived the accident, not the fire. That night, he wrote a short, feverish note, folded it carefully, and stitched it inside his coat. He never spoke of it, not once. When he died, they found it still there. This wasn't a confession of faith, but a scar. Stay with me, because what Pascal encountered in that fire wasn't God, as people believe, but something else, something horrible, which shattered the mind of one of history's greatest thinkers. Pascal was not a mystic. He was a machine builder of thought, a child prodigy who, at 19, invented the first mechanical calculator. He tamed probability, turned chance into numbers, and chaos into columns. He believed the universe could be measured, solved, reduced. But when he looked up, not with wonder, with terror. The eternal silence of these infinite spaces terrifies me. That sentence isn't poetic. It's an expression of existential dread in a universe with no comforting heavens and no divine voice. Just endless darkness, extreme cold, and silence. A universe that didn't notice him. The result of that experience wasn't atheism, but profound dizziness. And this is where the wager begins. You've heard it explained calmly. A bet on God. If he exists, you gain everything. If he doesn't, you lose nothing. But that version is a lie of tone. The wager was never clever. It was desperately painful. Because Pascal wasn't proving God's existence. He was trying to survive a universe which refuses to sense. Logic had betrayed him. Probability laughed back. The cosmos he once trusted felt like a machine without mercy. And God wasn't a loving father anymore. He was a variable, a constant in an equation that worked whether you lived or died. That realization broke something in him. Pascal's final years were not peaceful. He suffered constant pain, relentless illness. He wore a belt of spikes beneath his clothes, not out of holiness, but dread that silence would return. He wrote Les Pensées, not a book, but fragments, notes, arguments, defenses against the dark. There was no certainty, only resistance, because the fire didn't show him God. It showed him nothingness. A possibility that God was something we invented to survive that nothingness. If the wager was placed on a silent God, a universe that does not care, what if the real courage wasn't belief? What if the genuine courage was this? That even in a meaningless void, humans are still powerful enough to create meaning. Maybe the silence isn't empty. Maybe it's something unfinished, waiting, not for God, but for us. He's on his knees, begging, pleading with the silence. His child is dying in his arms, and the sky refuses to answer. This is the moment everything shatters. The moment a father's faith dies, and in its place, humanity is set free. Because if God is real, why did he let Annie Darwin die? Stay with me, because the answer isn't tragedy. It's sacrifice. Charles Darwin was a father first, a quiet, gentle man who played with his daughter Annie as if she were the center of his entire universe. She styled his wild hair, smoothed his coat, and called him her light. But Darwin carried a secret heavier than any father should. For 15 long years, he hid a manuscript, a revolutionary theory of evolution that he knew would dismantle the very idea of a God of miracles. Then came the breaking point. A local priest scolded little Annie for talking about dinosaurs. In the eyes of the church, extinction was impossible. God's creation was perfect, unchanging. In that moment, Darwin saw it clearly. Religion wasn't a pathway to truth. It was a wall built against wonder, a cage for the curious mind. Soon after, Annie fell terribly ill. Darwin, the man of science, abandoned his reason. He turned to healers and then to prayer. He begged, he bargained, he offered his own soul for her life. But God remained silent. Annie died in his arms as he whispered stories to her fading light. And in that deafening silence, Darwin glimpsed the truth. Nature has no special doorways. It makes no exceptions. Not for the innocent, not even for a father's love. History tells us that Darwin killed God. But look closer. What if God had answered that prayer? What if he had saved Annie? Darwin might have knelt in that church for the rest of his life, his world-changing manuscript rotting away in a forgotten drawer. And humanity would have remained trapped in darkness for hundreds of years. So was God's silence cruelty? Or was it mercy? Or was it something more unsettling? A divine suicide? A choice to die so that a greater truth could finally live. Perhaps the greatest sacrifice isn't giving your life, it's giving up your throne. In this story, maybe God didn't die for our sins. Maybe he died for our freedom. To think, to question, to discover. There are moments in history when the human mind goes too far ahead of the human heart. This is one of them. Kurt Gödel, the greatest logician since Aristotle, Albert Einstein's closest friend at Princeton, a man who changed mathematics forever by proving something no one wanted to hear. Gödel proved that mathematics is incomplete, that no matter how perfect a logical system is, there will always be true statements it cannot prove. Holes, gaps, ghosts inside reason itself. This was the incompleteness theorem, and it shattered a dream humanity had been chasing for centuries. The dream that logic could explain everything. Gödel showed us the limit of proof, that truth is sometimes larger than reason, that certainty is an illusion. But here's the unsettling part. Gödel didn't just discover these limits, he lived inside them. In his early life, Gödel was precise, calm, almost fragile. His thinking was razor sharp, his arguments flawless. He wasn't eccentric, he was exact. Then, slowly, something changed. Gödel began to believe he was being watched, followed, poisoned. He became convinced that people, colleagues, institutions, even governments, were trying to kill him. He trusted no one, except one person, his wife, Adele. Gödel would only eat food after Adele tasted it first. Every meal, every sip. Logic demanded certainty, and certainty demanded control. This was the same man who proved certainty was impossible. Then, late in life, Adele was hospitalized. She couldn't taste his food anymore. Gödel refused to eat. No protest, no breakdown, just a decision. If proof was impossible, trust was impossible too. Kurt Gödel starved to death, not because food was unavailable, but because his logic allowed no exception. This is the cruelest irony in modern intellectual history. The man who revealed the limits of reason was destroyed by a reason that refused to stop reasoning. Gödel showed us that even perfect systems have cracks, but he couldn't live with the cracks inside his own mind. His brilliance became a closed room. No windows, no exits. The mind, when left alone with its own certainty, doesn't always expand. Sometimes it collapses inward. Gödel proved that mathematics is haunted, that even the cleanest logic carries a shadow. Eventually, Kurt Gödel fell into that shadow, and he refused to come out. This isn't just a story about genius, it's a warning. Because the most dangerous prison isn't built of walls, it's built of thoughts that never allow doubt or mercy. So where do you draw the line between reason and trust, between brilliance and isolation?